is watching across Canada on the live stream this evening. And before we go any further, it's important to acknowledge that this event is taking place on the unceded traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, on whose land we live, work, and play. I was so happy to be asked to be here tonight, because what could be more beautiful than to hear young people who love words, who have taken them into their beings, reciting poems they've learned. I mean, how could one bad thing happen with that combination of events? And one of the things that pleased me so much about it was that it sounded almost like it belonged to another time. Now, I'm talking a little through my hat here because I'm not a teacher. I don't really know what goes on in schools anymore, but it isn't my impression that a lot of time and effort gets given over to the learning of poetry, memorizing of poetry, reciting of poetry. When I was at school, and that's 50 years ago, it had already kind of passed from the scene. It belonged very much to my father's generation. He was born in 1926. He died a couple of years ago, just a little shy of his 90th birthday. And all my life, I heard him recite the poems that he had learned when he was about the age of the young people we're going to be hearing tonight. I think they were quite different poems from the ones that you're going to hear tonight. They were parlor poetry, Victorian party pieces, narrative poems, like, listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere, or the boy stood on the burning deck whence all but he had fled, and so on. Towards the end of his life, he lost contact, my father did, with big chunks of his past. His memory was gone. But to the very end, the last conversation I had with him, shortly before he passed away, was one where he was reciting The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Why am I telling you this? Is it to indicate that, in fact, the learning of poetry can be fatal? No, it's not for that reason. The point is, there's something beautiful and vital about that phrase, by heart, to learn by heart. And when people take the time and they pay the attention to bring these words into their beings, to incorporate them into their persons, I truly believe that these things become a part of us, almost like they get woven up into the strands of our DNA. And they're with you all your life long. So what we're going to be seeing tonight is these beautiful, intelligent, committed young people who are having an experience that in one way or another is going to trail them along all the days of their lives, a formative experience. It's a great privilege to be able to be part of that and to be able to share it. Before you meet the contestants, I'd like to welcome to the podium Jeff Meigs, who is the Deputy Mayor of Vancouver and who is bringing greetings on behalf of the city. Jeff?
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Bill. It's my great pleasure on behalf of Mayor Gregor Robertson and our whole council to welcome Poetry and Voice, Les Voix de la Poésie, to Vancouver. Vancouver is a good place for poetry. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but we do aspire as all things to be world class, of course, so I don't know what it takes to be that. I know we have at least one of our poet laureates here. I think I saw Evelyn Lau in the reception, and as she's here, you should wave, Evelyn. And if there's others, we've had a poet laureate in the city of Vancouver now for about 12 years. It's a more prestigious job than it is a well-paid job, but it's an important one. that Council has been really happy to sponsor because it encourages and cultivates poetry in the city and leads to a lot of wonderful outcomes. It's also great that Bill acknowledged that we're on unceded territory, the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish First Nations, because Vancouver is trying to celebrate Canada 150 this year with a bit of a twist, with a plus on the end, to acknowledge implicitly or symbolically that our history didn't begin 150 years ago, it began thousands of years ago. And it's been exciting to see how that's produced all kinds of different outcomes, different sorts of approaches to celebrating this milestone. And I note that you also have been taking care of that side of the situation by working on haiku with Haida Inspiration, and also had Niska poet Jordan Abel here yesterday to speak. And so I just wanted to thank you for doing that and indicate how seriously we at Council try to take developing this whole process of reconciliation for all the reasons that I'm sure you agree with. So I won't take too much more of your time. I just want to also thank Scott Griffin and the Griffin Foundation for making this possible. As Bill has said, it's really a magical thing. It's great to be at a competitive event where no one's at any risk of concussion. And it's a great thing that people have come from all across Canada for this, and I think the judges have got a real task on their hands to pick the winners. So have a wonderful evening. Best wishes to all the contestants, and congratulations to the winners. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jeff. So tonight you're going to be hearing contemporary and classical poetry as well, spoken both in English and in French. So in the contest, many of you probably know this already, there are 3 competition streams to poetry and voice, English, French, and also bilingual. So the French and the bilingual finals happened earlier today, and after the intermission, there will be an opportunity to hear recitations from the top 3 students in both of those streams, the French and the bilingual. And we're also going to be crowning the 2017 National English Champion. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome the stars of the show, who are the 6 students who have made it here. And it's been a fun-filled and in many ways kind of arduous path they have trod, made it here to the English finals. So I'll call them by name and they'll join us on the stage. From clear over to the other end of the country, from beautiful Prince Edward Island, from Montague Regional High School in Montague, please welcome Chloe Harris. And from here in Vancouver, from Little Flower Academy, please welcome Marissa Prado. Also from Vancouver, from St. George's School, please welcome Luke Maurer. Luke Maurer. Thank you very much. Luke was coaching me on his last name, and I promised him I wouldn't get it wrong, and I just did. It is in fact Luke Maurer. I beg your pardon, Luke. From Edmonton Islamic Academy in Edmonton, Alberta, please welcome Sujood, Thraya. And from Toronto, Ontario, please welcome Charlotte Egan from Mary Mother of God School. Charlotte's come with a cheering section. And from the University of Toronto Schools, please welcome Stephen Chankov. There they are. Fantastic. So the way these young people have come here tonight is by winning, first of all, their classroom contests, then their school contests, and then they competed against hundreds of others in the online semifinals. And finally, they advanced from yesterday's qualifiers here in Vancouver. And any one of them would be a very worthy champion. So bravo to you all for making it to the English Stream Finals. And arranged Behind us here, looking very much like the World Court at The Hague, we have the judges of the contest, and I'm going to introduce you to the three who will be, you'll meet them all over the course of the evening, but now I'm going to introduce you to the three who are going to be judging the English language recitations tonight. Jordan Abel is a Nisga'a writer from British Columbia. He wrote Injun, which has been very recently shortlisted for this year's Griffin Poetry Prize. Which is a wonderful achievement. Congratulations, Jordan. It is, as I think you probably know, the Griffin family that makes this event possible as well. Uninhabited and The Place of Scraps are also his titles. The Place of Scraps won the Dorothy Livesey Poetry Award and was a finalist for the Gerald Lampert Memorial Award. Also judging tonight is François, who was Canada's Parliamentary Poet Laureate from 2011 to 2013 and was made an Officer of the Order of Canada in 2013. And his current project involves the Columbia River, an interdisciplinary project he's working on. And Lorna Crozier, who is a winner of the Governor General's Literary Award for Poetry, the recipient of 5 honorary doctorates. Her latest book of poetry, The Wrong Cat, received 2 national awards last year. Welcome. Okay, so I'm going to ask the competitors to go backstage now and get themselves ready. Gird your loins for what's to come. And we'll be hearing each of you, so you can go backstage now, and then you'll be called out when ready. And just to give you the lowdown on how the evening is going to proceed, we're going to be hearing 3 rounds of poems from our 6 competitors, those who are giving their recitations this evening in English. Again, the winners were chosen for French and bilingual earlier on today. The poems were chosen from the Poetry in Voice anthology, and the selections were governed by 2 rules. Because we're marking the 150th anniversary of the country, students have to recite 1 poem by a Canadian poet. And as well, they must recite 1 poem that is 25 lines or fewer. Students are going to be scored for accuracy, voice and articulation, interpretation, physical presence, and understanding of the poem. So, it's a big job for all concerned, for the judges as well as for the reciters. If you're all ready to hear some poetry, and I know you are, let's proceed.
Round 1, English Finals. Chloe Harris from Montague Regional High School, Montague, Prince Edward Island.
Opus 75, Sestina in B-flat for the Glockenspiel by Adam Soul. In the empty classroom at sunrise, a girl sits on the floor, staring at a glockenspiel. She's shredding the cuticles on her left hand instead of starting to practice. She doesn't want to play. Not yet, if ever. The irritating sound of her teeth clicking is the only sound in the band room. The cranky girl has been dropped off early so she can play a bit alone on the glockenspiel before her classmates come to practice. Instrument cases clutched in their chapped hands like luggage. They have such sure hands, she thinks. And she can hear the sounds they make, the laughter in the practice rooms that make her feel like a little girl. She is a late bloomer, and like the glockenspiel, she is awkward at the games they play. Only it isn't really play, is it? It's life. The boys put their hands on the girls who vibrate like glockenspiels, with tinkling notes that sound shrill and artificial to the girl. But isn't this how it's always been practiced? And wouldn't she appreciate it more if she practiced? The ones who are good at it think of it as play. That's what they think it means to be a girl. But that's not me. I have ugly hands. I don't know how to make the giggly sounds they expect from me, except on the glockenspiel. And what's the point of a glockenspiel if I can't even concentrate and practice? For some, it's music. For others, only sounds. Now here come my bandmates, ready to play. And all I've done is chew my hands into bleeding mallets. I'm more stick than girl. Practice begins, and it's time for the girl to hoist her glockenspiel and exercise her hands. Her imperfect self is on display. How does she sound?
Marissa, Prado, Little Flower Academy, Vancouver, British Columbia.
I Am Graffiti by Leanne Simpson. I am writing to tell you that yes, indeed, we have noticed you have a new big pink eraser. We are well aware you are trying to use it. Erasing Indians is a good idea, of course. The bleeding heart liberals and communists can stop feeling bad for the stealing and raping and murdering. And we can all move on. We can be reconciled. Except I am graffiti. Except mistakes were made. She painted 3 white X's on the wall of the grocery store. 1, 2, 3. Then they were erased. Except I am graffiti, except mistakes were made. The X's were made out of milk because they took our food. 1, 2, 3. Then we were erased. Except I am graffiti, except mistakes were made. We are the singing remnants left over after the bomb went off in slow motion over a century instead of a fractionated second. It's too much to process, so we make things instead. We are the singing remnants left over after the costumes have been made, collected up, put in a plastic bag full of intentions for another time, another project. Except I am graffiti, and mistakes were made.
Luke Maurer from St. George's School, Vancouver, British Columbia.
From Chapter I by Christian Book for Dick Higgins. Writing is inhibiting. Sighing I sit, scribbling in ink this pigeon script. I sing with nihilistic witticism, disciplining signs with trifling gimmicks, impish hijinks which highlight stick sigils. Isn't it glib? Isn't it chic? I fit childish insights within rigid limits, writing shtick which might instill priggish misgivings in critics blind with hindsight. I dismiss nitpicking criticism which flirts with Philistinism. I bitch. I kibitz, griping whilst criticizing dimwits, sniping whilst indicting nitwits, dismissing simplistic thinking in which philippic wit is still illicit. Pilgrims, digging in shifts, dig till midnight in mining pits, chipping flint with picks, drilling schist with drills, striking it rich, mining zinc. Irish firms, hiring mix whilst firing Brits, bring in smiths with mining skills, kilnwrights grilling brick in brick kilns, millwrights grinding grist in grist mills. Irish tinsmiths, fiddling with widgets, fix this rig driving its drills which spin whirring drill bits. I pitch in, fixing things. I rig this winch with its wiring. I fit this drill with its piping. I dig this ditch, filling bins with dirt, piling it high, sifting it, till I find bright prisms twinkling with glitz.
Sujood, Thraya, Edmonton Islamic Academy, Edmonton, Alberta.
I Am the People, the Mob by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I am the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come from me and the Lincolns. They die and I send forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground. I am a prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me and makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself, and spatter a few red drops for history to remember. Then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday and no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any fleck of a sneer in his voice or any far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then.
Charlotte Egan, Mary Mother of God School, Toronto, Ontario.
Chemo Side Effects, Memory, by Elise Partridge. Where is the word I want? Groping in the thicket, about to pinch the dangling berry, my finger pads close on air. I can hear it, scrabbling like a squirrel on the oak's far side. Word, please, send over this black stretch of ocean your singular flare. Blaze your topaz in the mines. Blank. I could always pull the gift from the lucky dip barrel, scoop the right jewel from my dragon's trove. Now, I flail. The wrong item creaks up on the mental dumbwaiter. No use. It's turning out of sight. A bicycle down a Phoenician alley. I clatter after, only to find gondolas bobbing in sunny silence. A pigeon mumbling something I just can't catch.
Stephen Chankov, University of Toronto Schools, Toronto, Ontario.
From Chapter I by Christian Book for Dick Higgins. Writing is inhibiting. Sighing I sit, scribbling in ink this pigeon script. I sing with nihilistic witticism, disciplining signs with trifling gimmicks. Impish hijinks which highlight stick sigils. Isn't it glib? Isn't it chic? I fit childish insights within rigid limits, writing shtick which might instill priggish misgivings in critics, blind with hindsight. I dismiss nitpicking criticism which flirts with Philistinism. I bitch. I kibitz, griping whilst criticizing dimwits, sniping whilst indicting nitwits, dismissing simplistic thinking in which philippic wit is still illicit. Pilgrims, digging in shifts. Dig till midnight in mining pits, chipping flint with picks, drilling schist with drills, striking it rich, mining zinc. Irish firms hiring mix whilst firing Brits, bring in smiths with mining skills. Kilnwrights grilling bricks in brick kilns, millwrights grinding grist in grist mills. Irish tinsmiths fiddling with widgets fix this rig, driving its drills which spin whirring drill bits. I pitch in, fixing things. I rig this winch with its wiring. I fit this drill with its piping. I dig this ditch, filling bins with dirt, piling it high, sifting it till I find bright prisms twinkling with glitz.
End of round 1. Round 2. Sujood Thraya, Edmonton Islamic Academy, Edmonton, Alberta.
Good Day Villanelle by Damien Rogers. You ran naked out the door. The neighbors laughed. I chased you down. I hardly see you anymore. I know you're busy. Did I tell you when you were little how you ran naked out the door? You got halfway down the street before I caught you in my arms. I hardly see you anymore. I think I told you this before. I was giving you a bath and then you ran naked out the door. It happened fast. The neighbors laughed. I hardly see you anymore. You have to watch a baby close. I remember once you ran naked out the door. I hardly see you anymore.
Charlotte Egan, Mary Mother of God School, Toronto, Ontario.
Firewatch by Ken Babstock. Hello? Listen, I'm on a field phone. Do not speak until I say over. Repeat. Don't talk until I say over. Over. Do you understand? Or was your silence intentional? Over. Northwest of the Seven Sisters, in a sort of bunker on stilts. Over. Last week I called in a cobra of smoke. I was packing my gear in a panic when the next tower west confirmed it was only low cloud. Over. I get a crackling out of Alaska that sounds religious. Vladivostok, CBC. I've decided I like Paganini. Over. No. Leave it. Or throw it out. I won't need it here. If ever. Over. When storms wander across the lower jaw of the coastal range, unloading their cargo here, it's like being in the engine room of something metallic and massive. Over. My first grizzly passed within a stone's throw, followed an hour later by the sucking thumps of a parks chopper. Nothing since. Over. Days, I rearrange stones shoaled up at the base of the uprights and struts. Nights, I stab at imagining anything lovely, but end up laughing. Over. The forest goes quiet, as if waiting for me to finish. Listens hard to whatever isn't itself. Makes me anxious. I think of how we ever came to inaudible, given the arm's length I kept joy at. Over. Affection stung like a rasp drawn over, inaudible. I thinned the world of it. Don't live as I did. Allow for terms of relief. The black maples lined along streets, waddling skunks, their dark dusters through the foxglove. Your shoulder bag. Shoes. The faces of strangers. All may strike you as fibers of a tremendous sadness. That's you, in among the weave of it. New. Over. Is that important? I've been contracted to watch this horizon, and will be here until something happens. Over. Tell them it will. Over.
Stephen Chankov, University of Toronto Schools, Toronto, Ontario.
Revenge by Letitia Elizabeth Landon. I gaze upon her rose-wreathed hair and gaze upon her smile. Seem as you drank the very air her breath perfumed the while. And wake for her the gifted line that wild and witching lay, and swear your heart is as a shrine that only owns her sway. 'Tis well. I am revenged at last. Mark you that scornful cheek? The eye averted as you passed spoke more than words could speak. I know by all the bitter tears that I have shed for thee, the racking doubts, the burning fears, avenged they well may be. By the nights passed in sleepless care, the days of endless woe, all that you taught my heart to bear, all that yourself will know. I would not wish to see you laid within an early tomb. I should forget how you betrayed and only weep your doom. But this is fitting punishment, to live and love in vain. Oh, my wrung heart, be thou content and feed upon his pain. Go thou and watch her lightest sigh. Thine own it will not be. And bask beneath her sunny eye. It will not turn on thee. 'Tis well. The rack, the chain, the wheel, far better hadst thou proved. Even I could almost pity feel. For thou art not beloved.
Luke Maurer, St. George's School, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Ode on the death of a favorite cat, drowned in a tub of goldfishes by Thomas Gray. 'Twas on a lofty vase's side, where China's gayest art had dyed the azure flowers that blow. Demurest of the tabby kind, the pensive Selima reclined, gazed on the lake below. Her conscious tale, her joy declared, the fair round face, the snowy beard, the velvet of her paws, her coat, that with the tortoise vies, her ears of jet and emerald eyes, she saw and purred applause. Still had she gazed, but midst the tide 2 angel forms were seen to glide, the genii of the stream. Their scaly armors, Tyrian hue, through richest purple to the view betrayed a golden gleam. The hapless nymph with wonder saw a whisker first and then a claw. With many an ardent wish she stretched in vain to reach the prize. What female heart can gold despise? What cat's averse to fish? Presumptuous maid, with looks intent, again she stretched, again she bent, nor knew the gulf between. Malignant fate sat by and smiled, the slippery verge her feet beguiled. She tumbled headlong in. 8 times, emerging from the flood, she mewed to every watery god some speedy aid to send. No dolphin came, no Nereid stirred, nor cruel Tom, nor Susan heard. A favorite has no friend. From hence, ye beauties, undeceived, no one false step is ne'er retrieved, and be with caution bold. Not all that tempts your wandering eyes and heedless hearts is lawful prize, nor all that glisters gold.
Chloe Harris, Montague Regional High School, Montague, Prince Edward Island.
One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost. that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last, or next to last, of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones and vaster. Some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I miss them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident. The art of losing's not too hard to master. Though it may look like, write it, like disaster.
Marissa Prado, Little Flower Academy, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Chicago by Carl Sandburg. Hog butcher for the world, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads, and the nation's freight handler. Stormy, husky, brawling, city of the big shoulders. They tell me you are wicked, and I believe them, for I have seen your painted women under the gas lamps luring the farm boys. And they tell me you are crooked, and I answer, yes, it is true. I have seen the gunmen kill and go free to kill again. And they tell me you are brutal. And my reply is, on the faces of women and children, I have seen the marks of wanton hunger. And having answered so, I turn once more to those who sneer at this my city, and I give them back the sneer and say to them, come and show me another city with lifted heads, singing so proud to be alive and coarse and strong and cunning, flinging magnetic curses amid the toil of piling job on job. Here is a tall, bold slugger set vivid against the little soft cities, fierce as a dog with tongue lapping for action, cunning as a savage pitted against the wilderness, bareheaded, shoveling, wrecking, planning, building, breaking, rebuilding, under the smoke, dust all over his mouth, laughing with white teeth under the terrible burden of destiny, laughing as a young man laughs, laughing even as an ignorant fighter laughs who has never lost a battle, bragging and laughing that under his wrist is the pulse and under his ribs the heart of the people, laughing, laughing the stormy, husky, brawling laughter of youth, half naked, sweating, proud to be hog butcher, tool maker, stacker of wheat, player with railroads, and freight handler to the nation.
Man, oh man, these kids can preach. That's just amazing to hear this work. And you know what's so interesting too is that some of the pieces are maybe familiar to you. I bet that for a lot of you, some of them you're hearing for the first time. What amazing ways to meet these poems through those smart and beautifully delivered recitations we just heard. You judges, yeah, I so don't envy you all. But I'm so glad to be here. I know you all are too. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, you'll be hearing from the winners in the French and bilingual categories, and then we'll hear more from these English language finalists. So see you in about 15 minutes. Thanks once again to the Rossi gang there. And welcome back. So as we move along, I'm going to cede the podium to the marvelous Jeanne, whom many of you will know as the Word Lady, where she appeared for any number of years on the CBC program C'est la vie, where she came on each week and talked about a word or a colloquial expression in French. Jeanne has been hosting since 2013. I'm so happy she's here again tonight. Please welcome Jeanne.
Good evening, Bill. Good evening, everyone. I'm solely delighted to be here to celebrate youth and poetry.
I just want to ask, since you have been doing this since 2013, how have you noticed it has changed, or has it changed?
It's getting better and better every year. It's amazing. We're all back there saying, they are so good, they are so good. Those students are so good. Aren't they incredibly good?
I'll leave you to it.
Thank you so much. So as Bill mentioned, we held the French and bilingual finals earlier today. This theater was filled with French immersion and FSL students from across Vancouver. It was absolutely wonderful to have such an engaged audience for French poetry. So before you have the chance to hear our very talented French and bilingual finalists, I would like to introduce to you our panel of judges. Pierre Neveu curated the French anthology of poetry and voice. He taught literature at l'Université de Montréal for 30 years. Poet, novelist, and essay writer, Professor Neveu has published well over 20 books, including several collections of poetry and essays. 3 of them earned Governor General's literary awards. Marie-André Gilles, deep and sensitive writing, combiner Québécois and Ill-New identities. Both of her poetry collections, Béante and Frayée, are published by La Peuplade. Laurent Fadani has published several books of poetry in Belgium and in Canada, including Cartographie du Vertige, which was awarded Belgium's Pollock Prize. His 6th book of poetry, Viticulture des Gouffres, is about his passion for wine and poetry. That's a wonderful mix. Joanne Arnott judged the English recitations in the bilingual stream in lieu of Lorna Crozier because Lorna's poem, Fear of Snakes, was recited during the contest. And in fact, we're going to hear Lorna's poem in a few minutes. Joanne is a Métis, mixed-blood writer and arts activist. She has published 9 books, appeared in 25 anthologies and journals, and she is a poetry editor for Event magazine. Joe Donable and Fred Waugh, who Bill already introduced, also judged the English recitations in the bilingual stream. Now, because I know not all of you speak French, I'm going to tell you about the poems you are about to hear. So we will start with our 3rd place student in the French stream. She will recite Spleen by French poet Charles Baudelaire. Baudelaire speaks across generation with his take on melancholia, la mélancolie. Then our 2nd place competitor will recite Beauté Formol by Chloé Savoie-Bernard. This Québécoise recounts her painful experience at being called beautiful at an abortion clinic. It's a very powerful poem. Finally, our French champion, Maxime Vallée-Girard from Collège du Rocher-Saint-Lambert, will recite Soir d'hiver by Émile Nelligan. This classic poem will give you the chill of a Quebec winter night. Enjoy their recitations.
Jeanne Cantin, Collège François-de-Laval, Québec, Québec.
Spleen, Charles Baudelaire. J'ai plus de souvenirs que si j'avais 1000 ans. Un gros meuble à tiroir encombré de bilans, de vers, de billets doux, de procès, de romances, avec de lourds cheveux roulés dans des quittances, cache moins de secrets que mon triste cerveau. C'est une pyramide, un immense caveau qui contient plus de morts que la fosse commune. Je suis un cimetière abhorré de la lune, où comme des remords se traînent de longs vers qui s'acharnent toujours sur mes morts les plus chers. Je suis un vieux boudoir plein de roses fanées, où gît tout un fouillis de modes surannées, où les pastels plaintifs et les pâles bouchers, seuls, respirent l'odeur d'un flacon débouché. Rien n'égale en longueur les boiteuses journées, quand sous les lourds flocons des neigeuses années, l'ennui, fruit de la morne incuriosité, prend les proportions de l'immortalité. Désormais tu n'es plus, ô matière vivante, qu'un granit entouré d'une vague épouvante, assoupi dans le fond d'un Sahara brumeux, un vieux sphinx ignoré du monde insoucieux, oublié sur la carte, et dont l'humeur farouche ne chante qu'aux rayons du soleil qui se couche.
Mireille Proulx, Collège JEAN-DE-BRÉBEUF, Montréal, Québec.
Beauté formole de Chloé Savoie-Bernard. Une réceptionniste 2 fois infirmière, un membre du personnel soignant et même le médecin, alors qu'elle avait les mains dans mon sexe me défaisant de ma grossesse, chaque fois, elles m'ont dit « Tu es belle ». La jolie mademoiselle ritournelle ma beauté. Cœur grec, qu'annoncez-vous? Ma beauté gonne qui chaîne retournée contre ma tempe. Alors vraiment, je suis belle, grand bien m'en fasse. Ça me fait une belle jambe, les chevilles coincées dans les étriers, un bébé mort en petits morceaux entre les jambes. Tombe-t-il, qui le rattrape? Je suis belle, le nez qui coule, les yeux qui braillent, il meurt, je suis belle. Est-ce que cela m'absout? Est-ce que cela me sauve? Cette beauté.
Maxime Vallée-Girard, Collège du Rocher-Saint-Lambert, Saint-Lambert, Québec.
Soir d'hiver, Émile Nilligan. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Ma vitre est un jardin de givre. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Qu'est-ce que le spasme de vivre? Ah, la douleur que j'ai. Tous les étangs gisent gelés. Mon âme est noire. Où vis-je? Où vais-je? Tous ces espoirs gisent gelés. Je suis la nouvelle Norvège, d'où les blonds ciels s'en sont allés. Pleurez, oiseaux de février, ô sinistre frisson des choses. Pleurez, oiseaux de février, pleurez mes pleurs, pleurez mes roses, aux branches du genévrier. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Ma vitre est un jardin de givre. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Qu'est-ce que le spasme de vivre? Ah, tout l'ennui que j'ai.
For the exceptional recitations. Now we are going to hear from our bilingual winners. Our second place and first place will recite English poems, so I will let those speak for themselves. But our third place student will recite Barbara by French poet Jacques Prévert. Prévert's nostalgic poem urges a woman to remember her life before World War II in the city of Brest. À bientôt.
J. Thévenard, Kitchener-Waterloo Collegiate and Vocational School, Kitchener, Ontario.
Barbara, de Jacques Prévert. Rappelle-toi, Barbara, il pleuvait sans cesse sur Brest ce jour-là. Et tu marchais, souriante, épanouie, ravie, ruisselante sous la pluie. Rappelle-toi, Barbara. Il pleuvait sans cesse sur Brest. Et je t'ai croisée rue de Siam. Tu souriais. Et moi, je souriais de même. Rappelle-toi, Barbara. Toi que je ne connaissais pas. Toi qui ne me connaissais pas. Rappelle-toi. Rappelle-toi quand même ce jour-là. N'oublie pas. Un homme sous un porche s'abritait et il a crié ton nom. Barbara! Et tu as couru vers lui sous la pluie. Ruisselante, ravie, épanouie, tu t'es jeté dans ses bras. Rappelle-toi cela, Barbara. Et ne m'en veux pas si je te tutoie. Je dis tu à tous ceux que j'aime, même si je ne les ai vus qu'une seule fois. Je dis tu à tous ceux qui s'aiment, même si je ne les connais pas. Rappelle-toi, Barbara. N'oublie pas cette pluie, sage et heureuse. Sur ton visage heureux, sur cette ville heureuse, cette pluie, c'est la mer, sur l'arsenal, sur le bateau d'Ouessant. Oh, Barbara, quelle connerie la guerre. Qu'es-tu devenue maintenant? Sous cette pluie de fer, de feu, d'acier, de sang. Et celui qui te serrait dans ses bras, amoureusement, est-il mort, disparu ou bien encore vivant? Oh, Barbara, il pleut sans cesse sur Brest comme il pleuvait avant. Mais ce n'est plus pareil et tout est abîmé. C'est une pluie de deuil terrible et désolée. Ce n'est même plus l'orage de fer, d'acier, de sang. Tout simplement des nuages qui crèvent comme des chiens qui disparaissent au fil de l'eau sur Brest et vont pourrir au loin, très loin de Brest, dont il ne reste rien.
Alyssa Howard, Lower Canada College, Montréal, Québec.
Fear of Snakes by Lorna Crozier. The snake can separate itself from its shadow, move on ribbons of light, taste the air, the morning and the evening, the darkness at the heart of things. I remember when my fear of snakes left for good. It fell behind me like an old skin. Swift current. The boys found a huge snake and chased me down the alleys. Larry moaned, carrying it like a green torch, the others yelling, "Drop it," down her back, my terror of it sliding in the runnel of my spine. Larry, the one who touched the inside of my legs on the swing. An older boy we knew we shouldn't get close to, with our little dresses, our soft skin. My brother saying, "Let her go," and I crouched behind the Caraganis. Watched Larry nail the snake to a telephone pole. It twisted on twin points of light, unable to crawl out of its pain, its mouth opening, the red tongue tasting its own terror. I loved it then. That snake. The boys standing there with their stupid hands dangling from their wrists. A beautiful green mouth opening. Terrible. Dark, oh, no one could hear.
Gabrielle Nébrida Pépin, École des pionniers de Mallarville, Port Coquitlam, British Columbia.
Walking Both Sides of an Invisible Border by Lutukipeli. It is never easy walking with an invisible border separating my left and right foot. I feel like an illegitimate child forsaken by my parents. At least I can claim innocence since I did not ask to come into this world. Walking on both sides of this invisible border, each and every day and for the rest of my life, is like having been sentenced to a torture chamber without having committed a crime. Understanding the history of humanity, I am not the least surprised this is happening to me. A non-entity during this population explosion in a minuscule world.
I did not ask to be born an Inuk, nor did I ask to be forced to learn an alien culture with an alien language, but I lucked out on fate, which I am unable to do. I have resorted to fancy dancing in order to survive each day. No wonder I have earned the dubious reputation of being the world's premier choreographer of distinctive dance steps that allow me to avoid potential personal paranoia on both sides of this invisible border. Sometimes this border becomes so wide that I am unable to take another step, my feet being too far apart when my crotch begins to tear apart. I am forced to invent a brand new dance step. The premier choreographer saving the day once more. Destiny acted itself out, deciding for me where I would come from and what I would become. So, I am left to fend for myself, walking in two different worlds, trying my best to make sense of two opposing cultures which are unable to integrate lest they swallow one another whole. Each and every day is a fighting day, a war of raw nerves, and to show for my efforts, I have a fair share of wins and losses. When will all this end? This senseless battle between my left and right foot? When will the invisible border cease to be?
So now, let's welcome our 6 students back on stage and give them a well-deserved round of applause. Well, we also have prizes for them, and I'm sure they'll be happy about that. So I will ask Bill to come out and help me. Thank you, Bill. So, the gold envelopes. In the French stream, the 3rd place prize of $500 goes to Jeanne Cantin from COLLÈGE FRANÇOIS-DE-LAVAL. Félicitations! The 2nd place prize of $1,000 goes to Mireille Proulx from COLLÈGE JEAN-DE-BRÉBEUF. And the winner of our 5,000 grand prize, our 2017 French national champion, is Maxime Vallée-Girard from Collège de Rocher-Saint-Lambert. Bravo. And in the bilingual stream, the 3rd place prize goes to J. Thévenard from Kitchener-Waterloo Collegiate and Vocational School. Congratulations. Second place goes to Elisa Howard from Lower Canada College. And our 2017 bilingual national champion is Gabrielle Desbrida-Pépin from École des Pionniers de Maillardville. So congratulations again to you and to your hard work. If you would like to see the recitation of all our national finalists, you can go on our website and watch their recordings. So back to you, Bill, for more poetry. Come.
Thanks to all of you for those really amazing, inspiring performances. I truly mean that. Just before we continue on with the rest of the English stream, I want to acknowledge as well that backstage, you've probably seen them round about, are a whole host of young volunteers, and they too are really amazing, like super in charge of everything. So thanks very much to all of them as well. So we'll continue on now with the English stream. We have the six finalists that you've heard recite twice already this evening. One more poem remains to them, and then we'll name the grand champion in the English stream for this year.
English Prize Stream, Round 3. Chloe Harris, Montague Regional High School, Montague, Prince Edward Island.
Wolf Lake by Elizabeth Baczynski. It was down that road he brought me, still in the trunk of his car. I won't say it felt right, but it did feel expected. The way you know your blood can spring like a hydrant. That September, the horseflies were murder in the valley. I'd come home to visit the family, get in a couple of weeks of free food, hooked up with the guy I'd known when I was a kid, and things went bad. When he cut me, I remember looking down, my blood surprising as paper snakes leaping from a tin. He danced me around his basement apartment, dumped me on the Chesterfield, sat down beside me, and lit a smoke. He seemed a black bear in the gloam, shoulders rounded under his clothes. So I tried to remember everything I knew about black bears. Whistle while you walk, carry bells. If you don't bother them, they won't bother you. Play dead. Everything slowed. I'll tell you a secret. It's hard to kill a girl. You've got to cut her bad, and you've got to cut her right. And the boy had done neither. Pain rose along the side of my body like light. I lay very still while he smoked beside me. This boy I'd camped with every summer since we were 12. The lake so quiet, you could hear the sound of a heron skim the water at dusk, or the sound of a boy's breathing. I came to in the trunk of his car, gravel kicking up against the frame, dust coming in through the cracks. It was dark. I was thirsty. I couldn't move my hands or legs. The pain was still around. I think I was tied. We drove that way for a long time before the Chrysler finally slowed, then stopped. Sound of gravel crunching under tires. I could smell the lake. A place where, as kids, we'd come to swim and know we'd never be seen. Logs grew up from that lake bed. All those black bones rising from black water. I remember we'd always smelled of lake water and of sex by the end of the day. And there was a tape of Patsy Cline we always liked to sing to on our way out, which is what I thought we'd be doing that September afternoon. That or smoking up in his garage. You know, you hear about the body all the time. They found the body. The body was found. And then you are one. Someone once told me the place had been a valley before the dam, before the town. But that was a long time ago. When the engine stopped, I heard the silver sound of keys in the lock. And then I was up on his shoulders, tasting blood. I think he said my name. I think he walked toward the woods.
Stephen Chankov, University of Toronto Schools, Toronto, Ontario.
Echolalia by Ian Williams. Once one gets what one wants, one no longer wants it. One no longer wants what? One no longer wants what one wanted. A man and a woman wants a woman and a man, or a man and a woman, depending on the man and the woman. Once one gets what one wants once, one no longer wants it once. Then one no longer wants it at all. Yes, then no. Yes and no, no. Yes, then no, then yes. And always after yes comes no. Never always yes, but always no. Always no, after yes comes no. One wants what one wants, not what one wanted.
Charlotte Egan, Mary Mother of God School, Toronto, Ontario.
When I Was Fair and Young by Queen Elizabeth I. When I was fair and young, then favor graced me. Of many was I sought their mistress for to be, but I did scorn them all, and answered them therefore, Go, 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 seek some other where, importune me no more. How many weeping eyes I made to pine in woe, how many sighing hearts I have not skill to show, but I the prouder grew, and still this spake therefore, Go, 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 seek some other where, importune me no more. Then spake fair Venus' son, that proud, victorious boy, saying, You dainty dame, for that you be so coy, I will so pluck your plumes as you shall say no more, Go, 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 seek some other where, importune me no more. As soon as he had said, such change grew in my breast that neither night nor day I could take any rest. Wherefore I did repent that I had said before, Go, 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 seek some other where, importune me no more.
Luke Maurer, St. George's School, Vancouver, British Columbia.
From Red Dock by Anne Carson. Good-looking boy, wasn't he? Yes. Blonde? Yes. I do vaguely. You never liked him. Bit of a rebel, so you said. He's the one wore lizard pants and pearls to graduation, which at the time you admired. They were good pearls. You said he reminded you of your friend Mildred. Mildred taught me everything I know. She taught me how to entertain. You must miss her. I miss her martinis. Stub cigarette. So, what's he up to now? Just got out of the army. Wounded? Messed up. Are they giving him care? The guy shows up with a padded envelope of drugs every night. I guess it's care. He's staying with you for a while, behaving himself. Some days he sits around reading Christina Rossetti. Some days he comes out of the bathroom covered in camouflage paint. Keep him away from your herd. Did I tell you I finished Proust? Oh, yes. 7 years. Can you reach me those matches behind you? Reading it every day, thanks, was like having an extra unconscious. Well, I'm not fond of those multi-volume things. There's the part where he's comparing his Tantalione to a water lily. She's a swimmer. No, she's a neurasthenic. Well, I don't get it. Well, she's old, nervous, lives in a single room, trapped in her little train of habits, the pills, the pains, the spying out the window. A water lily caught in a current, he says. Could be too late for me to appreciate Proust. On the other hand, I'm at a loss. I've read all the Len Daytons in the library. Hundreds of people visit his home every year. Some just burst into tears. Len Dayton? No, Proust. Say, remember that time we were driving and crashed? What time? Well, I forget where it was. I was driving. No, you were driving. I was looking out the window. All of a sudden, I thought I saw a deer racing out a driveway. So I start to then my brain flashes on it being a wooden lawn ornament, not a real one. Watch out for that wooden deer! I yelled so loud you drove off the road into a guy's hedge and burst into tears. She laughs. He laughs. Speaking of tears, listen, gets out a cigarette. To that wind. Storm coming. Or is it the traffic? Wind, I think. From the north, sounds like. So your surgery is scheduled for when? The 25th. You want me to come with you? No, dear. Well, if you change your mind, I won't change my mind. I can easily, thanks, though. Well, glances down at her crossword. I'll be fine. Well, so, time for you to go. I'll call on the weekend. Take some of those apples. They're the kind you like.
Sujood, Thraya, Edmonton Islamic Academy, Edmonton, Alberta.
Echolalia by Ian Williams. Once one gets what one wants, one no longer wants it. One no longer wants what? One no longer wants what one wanted. A man and a woman want a woman and a man, or a man and a woman depending on the man and the woman. Once one gets what one wants once, one no longer wants it once. Then one no longer wants it at all. Yes, then no. Yes and no, no. Yes, then no, then yes. And always after yes comes no. Never always yes, but always no. Always no. After yes comes no. One wants what one wants, not what one wanted.
Marissa Prado, Little Flower Academy, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Tide by Thraya Peerby. Would I have seen her? The tide tugging her gently past the Comfort Inn, houses tall and gabled, the bridge and its passers-by. This is not a hidden place. The graze and drag of her, clumsy, obstructive in the divided caress of eelgrass. No search. 8 days. Nights the moon returned, made chalk tracings around her shape.
End of the English prize stream recitations.
This is this La La Land moonlight moment. A lot of excitement in the air, I know. Can we just have one big old round of applause for all these marvelous contestants? And I'll ask them to come out onto the stage and join us as well, our 6 finalists in this English stream. The scoring is complete. The tabulators have done their work. Can everybody please come out? Just come out and join us on the stage here. Something else I remarked this evening was just the great camaraderie that exists among these young people as well. Everybody high-fiving everybody else when they come off the stage, being really, really supportive and collegial and warm. Wonderful to see. Okay, so Joanne is going to do the honors with the envelope, and I have got the winners' names here. And we'll begin with third place in this English stream, and an award of $500. And it goes to Chloe Harris from Montague Regional High School, Montague, Prince Edward Island. Second place, and the check for $1,000 goes to Charlotte Egan from Mary Mother of God School in Toronto. And the first prize, and the check for $5,000 goes to Luke Maurer of St. George's School, Vancouver, BC. Congratulations, everybody. So well done. And can I invite everybody in this room who was part of this event to come to the stage, please? Everybody who's here who competed in this year's national finals. If you're seated in the audience, and you all are, can you please come and join everybody else on the stage? Lots of room. Here they all are, fantastic. Is everybody up? Now there's a photo op if ever there was one. A big round of applause, please, for everybody here. Congratulations to you all. Oh! Uh-oh. Okay. Fantastic. And just before we say goodnight, I'd like to invite the founders of the feast, if you would like to come to the podium and say a few words, Scott and Christine Griffin.
Quelle soirée émouvante. Les voix de la poésie, non seulement par cœur, mais avec cœur. Mon mari et moi, nous voulons vous remercier énormément. Premièrement, les étudiants de partout du Canada qui ont participé à ce concours. Évidemment, leurs enseignants, nos juges. Et en plus, je voulais remercier cette équipe assez exceptionnelle sous la direction de David Smith, qui nous a organisé ces 2 jours inoubliables. Merci.
Well, I wish to add my congratulations to, in particular, the students, but to the judges, to the MCs, Bill Richardson, Joanne Blais, to the band, who's been fantastic, And of course, to all the students. You know, we believe that poetry and voice, and les voix de la poésie, is important for three distinct reasons. The first and the foremost is the fact that students are introduced to the beauty of language through poetry. And this is going to remain with them for the rest of their lives. And secondly, it's this whole exercise gives students a sense of confidence to be able to get up on stage with just a microphone and recite by heart in front of judges and an audience is something that would probably put the fear of God in most adults. And thirdly, and also very important, is the fact that we are creating, in my opinion, a readership. The generations of students that have been exposed to poetry is very important. We have lots of poets, talented poets in Canada who write poetry. But until now, we haven't had many who buy poetry, read poetry, and certainly none that recite poetry. And this now is establishing a readership, a market, if you like, for poetry, and that's very important. And finally, let me say that it's 7 years since we started. We started with just 12 schools. This year, we have 1,100 schools that were participating. And we estimate that since the beginning, over 1,400,000 poems have been memorized in the 7 years. And finally, let me say thank you to you, the audience, and to the live streaming as well. Your participation is important. So with that, I say good night and thank you. Bonsoir et merci à tous.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Christine. And again, thanks to everybody who came. Again, a special thanks to our judges. You all heard what a hard job they had to do tonight. Congratulations once again to all the participants. And long live poetry. Vive la poésie. See you again next year.